Good morning. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's forum. I'll ask our guest, Dr. Moses Ikiara, if you could please turn on your video. There you go.
Morning, Max.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah. Yes.
Eva, just take down the holding screen. Thank you very much. So good morning, everybody. We are ready to begin as others join us. And this morning, we are really delighted to have with us the Managing Director of the Kenya Investment Authority, Dr. Moses Ikiara, who will be speaking to us about the whole investment. Will be giving us actually an investment briefing, and you get to hear from him shortly. I also want to acknowledge our board president, Brenda Mbathi, who's on the call. Other board members present, various patron circle members, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to today's forum. My name is Maxwell Okello. I'm sure most of you have met me. I lead the team here at AmCham. I'm the chief executive. And again, once more, thanking everybody for making time to join us for this very important discussion. Before we begin, a few housekeeping issues. In terms of program, our program will run for an hour. We do ask for your indulgence in case we run over. So some 5 or so minutes would be really appreciated. Then secondly, after my brief introductory remarks, I will introduce Dr. Ikiara, who will give his presentation and his remarks. And thereafter, we will have a Q&A, which I will moderate. Now, as we move along, do feel free to submit your questions in the chat tab at the bottom of your Zoom window, the chat tab at the bottom of your Zoom window. And we will be able to take those, as many as possible when we get to Q&A. You realize that this is oriented in the form of a meeting, and so you have access to your mic and you have access to your video. And our request is that throughout the proceedings, you keep your audio muted and your video off unless you are speaking. So when we get to Q&A, the protocol would be that you raise your hand and I'll be able to call you out and ask you to proceed with your question. So, ladies and gentlemen, the long-standing US-Kenya trade and investment relationship, as of the latest available data that we have, this is 2019, has resulted in 1.1 million two-way goods trade between Kenya and the US. And US foreign direct investment stock in Kenya standing at 353 million shillings as of 2019. Kenya has maintained a positive investment climate and is attractive to multinational companies as an individual market in itself, and for those seeking a hub for their regional and continental operations. AmCham members are deeply involved in all aspects of our economy, with so many operating regionally, with Kenya as their hub. So talk about energy, infrastructure development, manufacturing, agricultural value chains, various service industries, supporting digital transformation and developing innovation across multiple sectors. Our members are rightfully represented, and then this is something that we're really proud of. Even with the economic disruption caused by the pandemic, we remain optimistic and some say cautiously optimistic of the recovery in line with projections reported by the World Bank and others that are projected a real GDP growth of up to 4.5% this year and upwards of 5% in 2022 if the current trend continues. There have been multiple initiatives to increase and sustain commercial engagement between Kenya and the US, from the elevation of Kenya's diplomatic relations with the US to one of a strategic partnership under the previous US administration that resulted in a trade and investment working group that explored ways to deepen trade and investment ties between the two countries and lay the groundwork for stronger future trade relationship. This, of course, culminated in the negotiations for a free trade agreement, which, although currently paused, we continue to wholly support as AmCham and advocate for, given its potential to open up expanded two-way trade and investment opportunities beyond AGOA. As AmCham, our focus remains the cooperation and coordination to enable our members to, one, plug into opportunities consistent with Kenya's development agenda, two, realize policy interventions that improve ease of doing business, and three, remove various barriers that there are to investment. So it is in line with this that we are in initial discussions with government of Kenya through KenInvest, and also in collaboration with the US Embassy to establish what we are calling a US-Kenya business dialogue. This would be an institutionalized platform that we anticipate will create and build momentum to not only resolve some of the challenges that are being experienced by companies within our membership, but also will help us to advance the trade and investment ambition between our two countries. So this is at the initial stages, and we are glad that we are partnering and working closely with KenInvest on that, and we will give an update of how that is going at a later stage. Therefore, the objective of today's briefing is to gain insights on Kenya's investment agenda, as well as a broader picture of investment and business climate enhancements to support and promote FDI. Now, without much further ado, I want to introduce our chief guest, Dr. Moses Ikiara, to deliver his remarks. So Dr. Moses Ikiara is the Managing Director of Kenya Investment Authority, KenInvest, a position he has held since 2013. Previously, Dr. Ikiara was the Executive Director of the Kenya Institute for Public Policy Research and Analysis, KIPRA, and also worked as a lecturer in the School of Environmental Studies, SES, of Moi University. Dr. Ikiara holds a PhD in Environmental and Natural Resource Economics from the University of Amsterdam, the Netherlands, as well as an MA in Economics from the University of Nairobi. He has extensive experience in public policy covering multiple issues, including trade and foreign direct investment, and was involved in the development of key policy documents, including the Economic Recovery Strategy for Wealth and Employment Creation, and of course, the Kenya Vision 2030. So karibu sana, Dr. Ikiara.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much, Max. Good morning, everyone who is on the call. It's very exciting to have this meeting finally. Let me start by thanking you, Max, for organizing this briefing. I think the US, for us, Kenya is a very important and strategic partner. So I think regular engagement is very, very important, and thank you for doing this. I would also like to thank American Chamber, Kenya chapter, for making it Kenya. Investing here. I believe you know that US is a leading source of FDI, foreign direct investment for Kenya. If you are looking at the stock of FDI, and we appreciate this because private investment is very, very important for the development we have received so far as a country, and even for realizing our ambitious Vision 2030 agenda. We also thank you for the discussions we are doing with you, AmCham, to have a US-Kenya dialogue, because it's our determination for the people who are doing business in our country. We want to make sure that they have the best time ever, that they don't lose sleep at night, and we want them to focus on innovation and creating growth in the business, rather than worrying about business environment issues. So that dialogue is going to fast track the process. I would also like to thank the participants for finding time to join us in this morning. Let me also say sorry for my informal attire because I'm doing this meeting in the sidelines of another meeting in our great somewhere in our great coast. So I could not be able to manage a formal suit in the weather that is there at the coast now. So let me share my screen. Okay, I hope you can all see it.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Thank you. So I'll start with Kenyan grants. I see many of the people on the call.
Daktari, just
yes.
Are you able to go onto slide mode, presentation mode? So that would be yes.
Yeah.
Presentation.
Very good. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm saying just a brief introduction of our economy. Although I see many of the people on the call are Kenyans, so they are aware about this. So I'll take a very short time. I think the key thing is to say our economy is quite strong, even though it is far from where we want to be. But we are growing. We are on the journey. The GDP now is about slightly over $100 billion. You know, and the growth over the last, 10, 15 years has been more than 5%, average about 5.5. Per capita income, you all know in the Vision 20 that we were targeting at least $3,000 per capita, GDP per capita. And I know many people are saying, wow, we are so far, because when we were doing this Vision 2030, GDP per capita was just about $600 or thereabouts. I'm happy to report, we are slightly over 2,000. So we are $2,047, maybe actually slightly more once the data for the latest year we get it. So the economy is growing. Population about 50 million. 3/4 of that population is below that 5 years of age. So we stand to gain from demographic dividend. We have among the highest literacy rates in the continent. So we have many young people who have, even in university education, but the economy is not expanding enough to absorb them. Of course, our democracy and freedoms are well known. In some cases, they have affected the speed of decision making in our government, but we feel in the long term, because all countries, people demand democracy and freedoms. So I think it's good that we are ahead of the curve, and with time, I think, and this is already actually a good signaling for the economy. Let's look at the trade between our two countries. I think, as Mark said, we are somewhere just about 62 billion shillings what we imported from the US, and the 52 billion shillings what we are exporting to the US. So you can see the trade is almost balanced. It is a very small compared to what we achieved in 2014 and 2015. I think our trade is quite sensitive to huge items, like if you acquire maybe like engines for aircraft or something like that, it increases the figure. But the message we want to say here is that we need to really improve our trade and grow it stronger. There's no reason why USA should not be our #1 trading partner. And the negotiations going on now, we are waiting to start on round number 3 for the Kenya-US free trade agreement, we believe will really help expand this trend. In terms of investment, as I've indicated, US is number one in FDI stock. I think many people say, oh, China is doing everything and all that. But if you look at the data, you actually find that in terms of stock, even growth of FDI in the last 5-10 years, the US is still very strong. We, together with the UK and with India, those are the three largest. But then, of course, countries like France, even Japan itself, and China have come up quite strongly. These are some of the companies that who have chosen home, and I would like to really say thank you, asante sana. We need more of the American investment in our country. We have so much to do. We are impatient to slay the dragon of poverty and low incomes, and we need your investment and your partnership to do this. Very quickly on the opportunities, I think this slide is just a summary of the economic pillar of Vision 2030, because, and I'm very happy when you talk about policy clarity, Kenya, we have it, because we have this long-term development agenda, the Kenya Vision 2030, and I am happy to see different political groupings or political parties, when you see them articulating the agenda or anything else, most of them are within the Vision 2030. I think they differ in terms of how they want to go about it and what they are really prioritizing, but this is a vision. 8 sectors. We had started with 6, and later on we added the blue economy and the oil and gas, after discovering, finding that the resources were quite strong in that economy. So it's agriculture, tourism, trade, both wholesale and retail, blue economy, financial services, business process offshoring and ICT, manufacturing, very crucial, because we need really sectors that can generate a lot of employment. For every million of output, we really would like to see enterprises that are able to create, to absorb more, to create more jobs, and then oil and gas. So in these sectors, we have many opportunities, big, medium, and small. So I think this is able to cater for the appetite of different companies. And besides this, we have the enabler sectors, infrastructure, energy, technical education. All these are areas that also present very, very strong opportunities. We then, yes, come to our president has, and his government has come up with a Big Four agenda. It is not contradicting to Vision 2030 or anything. It is actually a priority within the Vision 2030, so that you can, focus our resources in a few areas and receive, visible results within a short time. This agenda, I think, is supposed to up to around towards the end of next year, when the president's term is ending. And it has 4 areas. I'm sure many of you know this. Number 1 is manufacturing. And the ambition is to increase our manufacturing output to the extent that they can take care of at least 15% of GDP. We are now at about 8% or thereabout, 8.5. So it's almost like doubling of a contribution. Somebody might say, "Oh, it's only 1 year away. How do you achieve to? Do you think you can achieve that?" Lots of things have happened, and I think cautiously, I'm very optimistic, because for the first time now, the government has put in a lot of money to build the industrial infrastructure, like the Naivasha Special Economic Zone, Dongo Kudu is coming up, another zone in Kisumu. So when you build that infrastructure and then you support it with enabling policies, I don't see why we can't succeed. The second agenda is having 100% food security, also with good nutrition. And I'll come back to that. The third area is having universal healthcare coverage by end of next year, not 2030, as per the the global target. And the last one is affordable housing, building at least 500,000 affordable houses for Kenyans. I believe this one will be surpassed because already people are building quite a lot of houses. Again, besides those 4 areas, the enabler sectors also present additional opportunities in infrastructure. Even governance presents opportunities because we need, even people can invest and give consultancy services and other areas and management training to be able to improve governance. And then you have technology and innovation, energy, and the technical education. I believe is one of the areas in the education sectors that we need to get people focusing on to build technical institutes that can actually give our people skills in plumbing and all kinds of vocational skills. So in manufacturing, and I will not, because I know I have a limited time. Max told me I have quite a bit of time, but I would like to leave more time for discussion. But because whoever wants this presentation can get it. But I just chose you in the manufacturing. The areas of focus are textile and apparel production. We know one of the key things we export to the US is apparels, and we are happy for this opportunity presented by AGOA. This has made actually Kenya maybe the leading exporter of apparels in the group of countries that have been enjoying AGOA. But the bulk of inputs are important from elsewhere. So we like to cure this by attracting, really starting our textile manufacturing again to produce fabrics and other materials. And the Naivasha Special Economic Zone is specially designed for that. If you look at the low cost of power that is guaranteed there, that people can also, investors can get geothermal steam to do part of the textile processing there. The park is actually very well suited for textile and apparel. Then we also would like to do leather processing. We have the same, we are number 2 or 3 in terms of livestock population in Africa, but Ethiopia has done much better with their livestock population in the leather processing, much better than us, and we would like to change that by really improving the processing. In Athi River, we are setting up, it's in the process of setting up a effluent treatment plant in Kenani, where will be 500 acres, which will be really exclusively for leather processing, so that we can disrupt this area. And then manufacture of construction materials. Construction is huge in the counties, in the roads, in railways. There's so much construction you can see all over. But we like to be able to actually, capture more of the value by manufacturing construction materials, so the companies can come and do this. Agro processing, very important. The impact on reducing poverty and empowering farmers is very high. And then, of course, in the oil and gas, you can see the opportunities there. And assembly of electronics. We are really prioritizing that area. In the manufacturing area, we have actually identified during COVID, these areas have come they have come up much more strongly as areas of interest. manufacture of chemicals and cosmetics, textiles, again, pharmaceuticals, and then even manufacture of clinical care equipment. I think you all know now, if you get COVID, I think one of the biggest challenge you have is to get oxygen, or to get a hospital bed. So these are really opportunities that we need to take up and invest there. This shows our the special zones that have been built by the private sector and by government, so that investors can actually, even though you have an option to set up your own export processing zone or a special economic zone, but you also have the option of going to already established zone and lease land and basically start your business right away. And more zones are coming up, so I think this is just the beginning. I think the big one we're expecting soon will be in the Lamu port, now that the port is working, and once it opens, the gray part of our country, which is one half that doesn't have any docks, is going to change as soon as this corridor now is coming into effect. Regarding the affordable housing, as I said, we want to build at least 500,000 units. And there are many other opportunities, as you can see there, about people who can finance, people who can build the units, people who can produce, consultancy support, technical support, and those who can actually also provide the construction material. All those opportunities are available. In the food and nutrition agenda, the idea here is to increase productivity on our farms, because if you look at many of the enterprises, we see like production as kind of is starting to flatten, and I think we need now a bit of disruption to kind of keep the curve growing by bringing more technology, fertilizers, other inputs, to be able to help productivity. So we would like to see large-scale commercial agriculture production, and I'm happy to say here in the Ministry of Agriculture started set up a team, and I'm a member of that team, which is identifying all the ranch pieces of land that are sitting with the state agencies, CARO, ADC, and Tarada, and all others, and checking how much land is available, where it is, what enterprises can do well there, and then all this land will be available for leasing by the private sector to produce, commercial, agricultural production at the commercial level. The production of agricultural inputs is also very important, as I've said, fertilizers. Quality of seeds, it is a big gap in many of our enterprises. And when you don't start with a quality seed, your productivity and everything else breaks down. And I think this has been one of the areas that has affected us. And then, of course, agricultural equipment, from leasing to selling to assembly, those are opportunities we'll be happy to have. And then, of course, support services, cold chain development, providing insurance, and related services. The universal healthcare. So the idea is to see whether by next year, end of next year, our entire population will be covered, by NHIF or alternative, insurance, health insurance. It's not a walk in the park, but we believe it can be done. And besides that, we like opportunities available to build health facilities, also to provide innovative health insurance. I think the market is crying for an M-Pesa revolution, where we can have somebody who comes with a good insurance scheme that can cover, can be affordable to people even with fairly low income, and then you can be able to make money from mass, from the volume of people who will be covered with that. Then provision of medical commodities and equipment, digitization, providing telemedicine and related. So all those are opportunities available. We have this. This is an example. I'll show you two examples of what we call mega investment projects. And this one, the first one is the Lamb Port, South Sudan, and the Ethiopia Transport Corridor. You know now that the port is operational. One berth is already operating. And this port is going to be, is actually the best in the region, better than Mombasa, than Dar es Salaam, than Djibouti, because it's deep. And the large ships can land during any season. Unlike other ports where a big ship may have to wait for the volume of water to rise, in Lamu it's natural. So it's very, very, very suitable for transshipment. And we are expecting lots of big ships to be landing there. And then the smaller ships can take cargo from there to Mombasa, to Dar es Salaam, to Djibouti, and other areas. And then we are connecting now that port with the center of Kenya and connecting to Ethiopia, to South Sudan. And the South Sudan link, the linking at the African level is actually to connect Juba to Douala in Cameroon. So to create a road bridge there. It's a part of Africa with a lot of resources, very virgin, and I think once that infrastructure piece is constructed, it's going to really open up the area and create a lot of opportunity for business. So in the port, we have about 25 berths available for private sector. Anybody looking for PPP for a big infrastructure project, this is one of the huge opportunities, and we have 25 or so of them. And I think now many of you will know, unlike the past, when PPP process was long and opaque, now you can actually submit a privately initiated proposal, which can be considered by government. So you can see all the opportunities that are available in this one of the mega projects. Our next mega is our equivalent of or something we want to model along the Silicon Valley. We call it Silicon Savannah in Konsa. 5,000 acres of land already there. The Konsa Authority is already on the grounds. Lots of infrastructure has been built. The last time I checked, more than 300 investors have already been allocated land in the Konsa. So it is happening. If you go there, you'll be surprised. A data center is no longer vision that dream. It is happening. And this is an area, I know US will be very suitable here because this is our one project where we want to be on the cutting edge of R&D, research and development, where knowledge from universities and the industry are closely working together to be able to do innovation and come up with really exciting opportunities. So please take up this opportunity before other people take the best pieces of land within Konsa. In the blue economy, of course, fisheries, fishing itself, manufacture of fishing gear, processing of the fish, cold storage facilities. Now we have 2 ports. We don't have a shipping industry. We would like to do local shipbuilding, and then also water transport in the coast and also in Lake Victoria region. So again, these are really major opportunities. In the energy sector, I know many of you are aware that now it's not easy to get a power purchase agreement now because we are generating more electricity at the moment than we are consuming, and the reason is because industries have not come up at the pace at which they had been expected to come up to take up the power. But I think once the zones have been fully developed, I think this will change. So at the moment, the key areas you can get, we have opportunities in the energy sector. Immediate ones will be off-grid solutions, will be also transmission and distribution infrastructure, because the reason why demand is not big enough also is because the infrastructure to take power to people who need it in the counties who want to build small cottage industries is because the infrastructure is not enough. So transmission distribution is a key area of opportunity. In tourism, of course, the COVID has hit this sector very hard, but things are starting to look a bit promising. We, as a country now, when before COVID, we were getting about 2 million international tourists per year. Our potential is way more than 5 million. So you can see a gap of 3-4 million, what it means in terms of additional accommodation, additional tour operator services, creating new tourism products. We have a beautiful country, but I think we've really not exploited the full potential by dreaming bigger. So this sector is also very rich with opportunities, and we hope some of you can or your friends can take up the opportunities. Let's now quickly come to the ease of doing business. I think this is one of the areas of interest from many investors. Let me say, I've seen lots of change. I've been at the investment promotion agency for 8 years. And when I look at the time I started the work, and from now what I see, what has happened over the time, has been really quite impressive. Of course, it's not a complete job yet, but we've come a long way, and we are going on the journey. So we have this cabinet committee that tracks what's happening on ease of doing business or quality of climate. It was started in 2013, and I think most of the things that have happened is because of that decision to set up this committee, so that at the highest level of government, it matters the feedback from the private sector, what is not working well, and what needs to be done. So with this committee, and then the presidential roundtables between the president and his cabinet and the private sector, KEPSA, and other private sector agencies, has actually done quite well. There's also a dedicated business reforms and transformation department under the Ministry of CS Aidan Mohamed in the Ministry of East Africa. We've also set up a one-stop shop for investors on UAP on Mocho Tower in Upper Hill. You come there now, you can register your company there. You can start. You can deal with the KRA, NEMA, Kenya Power. You can apply for work permits, and soon we are going to bring a Nairobi County government there and the other agencies. The idea is that if you need to engage with all regulators, go to one place and you are sorted. And we are also giving you the option even to do the bulk of the engagement virtually, because you have e-citizen. We have also built in other things like e-regulations to really give investors information. We have created e-opportunities where you can search for the opportunities that you are looking for. So a lot of reforms are happening. We have policy certainty and stability with our Vision 2030 and Big Four agenda. And in 2019, towards the end, for the first time, Kenya passed Kenya investment policy, which is an holistic policy looking at the entire investment space, looking at including even the architecture of the institutions that promote and facilitate investment to make sure there is harmony and the cohesion. And then, of course, we have many other regulatory toolkit for SMEs, engineering many government processes. Even the judiciary itself has reformed by introducing e-filing, e-payments, and e-services. And the most recent is this is the closest to what we have been we are proposing in the Kenya investment policy, creation of a very powerful National Investment Council, chaired by the president and with the key critical ministers, so that if an investor, there's a key issue that has to be decided quickly, that council would meet and all the people sitting on the table would then make a decision immediately. That is in the process of establishment. We hope it will be established soon. But in the meantime, the PSs, principal secretaries, meet every week under this body called NDITC. And then the cabinet meets under the chairmanship of the CS for Interior, Fred Matiang'i, under the NDICCC. So from my observation, having been in government for long, it is much easier now to get one government approach on a matter than ever before. So I think transformation is happening. This one, I give you details about what has happened. If you are looking at starting a business, what has happened from around 2014 to now, many steps have been marched and all that. The outcome is you see actually that the time to register a company has improved from 14 days to 1 day, and the total cost has reduced from by about 60%. So you can see progress there. When it comes to paying taxes, in 2014, Kenya was ranked number 166 in the world in terms of ease of paying taxes. By 2019, we unleashed rank number 94. So again, because of the items like implementation of iTax, managing permits and all that, introduction of online filing and the payment system. So progress is there, but we can't we are keeping improving. Trading across borders again, we move from rank number 156 to 117. Okay, that's also not many steps like in other areas, but at least still significant. Getting electricity, we move from rank number 166 to number 20. That's between 2014 and 2019. But we still hear complaints that when you apply for power, it takes too long to get connected. Sometimes, there's a lot of noise in the process, and I think this is one of the areas under focus to reform. The environmental impact assessment license has been waived as a way of fast-tracking the NEMA process. They are working on, we've been challenging them to see how they can speed up the time it takes to complete an EIA process so that we can fast-track a business without necessarily compromising the integrity and the scientific basis of the work. So they are looking at that. Under the construction permits, the number of procedures dropped from by 25%, from 16 to 12, and other areas are being improved. Even the levy that was being charged was removed. On incentives, yes.
Yep. Sorry to interrupt, but just taking cognizance of the time, I'm seeing several questions coming through. Perhaps you can give you another minute and then we can go into Q&A.
Okay, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Yeah. So I think incentives, we have incentives. Our best schemes are export processing zones and special economic zones. But even outside the zones, you get incentives. The idea is, as a foreign investor, if you are investing at least $2 million, then you really enjoy a lot of benefits. You get a 100% investment allowance, and all the capital you bring into the country, and raw materials are zero rated. I believe we are quite competitive in incentives. I think for why Kenya, the economy, the focus on business environment, but I must look at this because I'm speaking to the Americans. Brookings Institution, you know, they are the best think tank in the world, based in Washington. For more than 5 years, they found Kenya #1 in the financial inclusion because of mobile money. So we are very proud of this, and we would like to see American companies going to concert and taking innovation to the next level. We also have, negotiated very many, preferential market access arrangements, including also the Continental Free Trade Area, which is now moving quite strongly. You'll be able to sit in the in your dream location in the continent and do business with the entire continent. So that's what the FTA gives you. Your investment is safe. We have all the instruments, as you can see. And to get started, come and work with us with our one-stop center. Max, let's get the dialogue off the ground so that between our two institutions, we can be able to give investors a very good experience. We have digital tools, e-regulations, e-opportunities. If you go to our website, you can find them and make use of them. We see a lot of American companies out of Kenya. The US is one of the greatest users of these portals. So we'd like to see that continue. I think even if you don't believe me, I hope you know Stephen Hayes, you know Richard Quest. You can see what they were saying about doing business in Kenya. I hope you agree. Yeah, so the way to conclude is to say we've come a long way as a country in improving the business environment. It's not a complete job yet. There's still more to do. But the good news is that we have a structure, very strong structure in government, which guarantees you continuous improvement. The cabinet committee, the presidential roundtables with the private sector, and the other, the one government approach initiative that is ongoing now will really make things better and better as we go forward. So choose Kenya for your investment. There are many comparing factors, and we are ready to roll out the red carpet for you. Thank you very much, and sorry for taking too long.
No problem at all.
Yeah.
I think that was very insightful.
Yeah. Yes.
So if you could pull down your presentation,
yeah,
so you can be able to see. Yeah, fantastic. So I'll quickly jump into Q&A. I know several questions have come in as I sift through this. I want to invite Phyllis Kamau from Visa to ask her question. And please, let's keep it crisp, concise, so that we can cover as many questions as possible. Thank you. Phyllis?
Okay. Thank you, Maxwell. And thank you, Dr. Ikiara, for the opportunity to avail, American companies to foster the investment. Indeed, Kenya is an investment destination, and we really appreciate the work that has gone to improve the business environment, to improve the conditions for investment, which we've seen value in it. I work for Visa. Visa is a financial service company with many years in Kenya, supporting card payments and both financial and non-financial companies. I think I'm speaking also as part of the digital task force in AmCham. We also have a lot of digital investment companies that are investing in technology, as you know, whether in the financial sector or the larger technology. And I think one of our key opportunity we see for Kenya to contribute particularly is to set to continue to set the right tone around taxation, particularly digital taxes. We know Kenya wants to get its fair share of taxes, but we have been engaging the Kenya Revenue to, and Treasury to get a balance of this so that the tax policy, favors investment. And currently there are discussions at global level, at OECD level, to try and harmonize this. But we know for a fact that Kenya is not part of the discussion of the 139 countries that are trying to harmonize and come up with a global approach towards digital taxes. So our question to you and our request to you is how we can get the support for Kenya to be part of these discussions, and for us to come up with digital taxation that doesn't hamper investment. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Phyllis. Daktari, allow me to take two more, and then we'll come back to you. So I also want to invite John Kalibo of PVH. John, please go ahead and ask your question.
Good morning, Maxwell. Thank you, Dr. Ikiara, for joining us this morning. What I wanted to hear from you is in anticipation of the FTA with the US and the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, does the government have specific prioritization for industries or segments for investment, and if there are, could you share what this would be?
Thanks a lot, John. And John also is the co-chair of our manufacturing task force at the chamber. That's also looking at how can we progress or advance more investment in the manufacturing space, whether from a policy perspective or whatever incentives that are required. Then thirdly, I want to invite George Osure, who is our task force chair for the agriculture task force within the AmCham. George is with us in Syngenta. George, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Moses, for that presentation. And I know your interest in agriculture goes beyond even this conversation today. And I'd just like to introduce to you the members of our task force, who are Koteva and Kagir, Del Monte, Twiga, Coco Networks. And the reason why I meant, and John D. and ABSA. We have a strong legal representation also, who are present with us here, CMS and Migai also. And then last but not least, I cap it off with USDA. The reason why I mentioned this, you'll see some questions already have come from two members of our task force, so I won't go into any more details. But the reason why I mentioned this is they're basically discussing opportunities that are available and how to partner with Kenya Investment Authority. I'll leave it for Maxwell to go into the details of the questions. And again, thank you very much for that slide of showing the agricultural opportunities, which I think we should take it up with you as a task force to develop further on partnerships and growth. Thank you, Maxwell, for the purposes of time.
All right, thank you very much, George. So, Dr. Adi, I'll hand over to you. You could address the two questions.
Thank you very much for the Phyllis, John, and George for those questions. I also have some colleagues of mine who joined, who are on the call. So if they, at some point, if they want to add anything, I think we'll allow them. I know we are running behind time. So I think to Phyllis on digital taxes, I think what you have said is, I actually happen to be the person chairing this issue of digital trade in the FTA negotiations with the US. I'm actually responsible for, I'm chairing investment chapter, digital taxes, trading services, telecoms, and financial services. So, and I know the issue of digital taxes is something we are really working, quite hard with. We are engaging KRA and the national, and the national treasury to make sure that we handle this item well. We've seen the, reading through the various readouts and discussions from the US side. We also realize how important digital trade is and the taxes there. But we are happy that at the global level, there's the countries coming together to have one approach that will be able to make sure that it benefits. It opens space, doesn't affect investment and the business itself, but it also recognizes that many of the developing countries, you see, as a space, the proportion of trade that is done digitally increases. Then you can see the opportunity cost to the countries in terms of getting tax revenues to do other work. So you have to be able to balance that. So Phyllis, I think when we organize another stakeholder meeting to engage further on this, we are going to make sure we invite you so that we can receive all the best ideas of how best to handle this. So I would say I can't give you a straight answer now because again of the nature of this, but just to tell you, it is at the very, very top of our considerations and the engagement with the KRA and the National Treasury. One of my colleagues, Michael, here was previously with the KRA, and I think he can bear witness to that. The second thing is from John about whether there are any particular areas that we are prioritizing at the ACFTA or maybe even the FTA with the US, if I understood him very well. I think, first of all, under the ACFTA, the Continental Free Trade Agreement, right now some work is going on looking at, especially in the services chapter, looking at what level of opening or liberalization can be done at the continental level. And, looking at which sectors that you are committing or opening more in the services space depends quite a lot on the consideration is how strong that sector is, whether it's already mature in terms of regulatory work, can it cope with very strong competition, or does it need a bit of nurturing? So that work is going on as recent as last week. The work was going on, and it's going. Our thinking is once we are clear on the level of liberalization in the services we are offering at the continental level, it's also going to determine then what kind of liberalization we are going to give to the US companies in the FTA that is being negotiated. So these two things are going well. We've just done a very detailed regulatory audit of our services sector, which laws discriminate against foreign investors in which articles of those legislations, which ones are imposing quantitative and other restrictions on how much business can be done, with a view to when we take commitments in the US FTA and in the continental FTA, then we are very well informed by the space we have from a legislative point of view. So again, I can't give you all the details, John, but we are going to have a meeting soon where we are going to validate this, the findings of the regulatory work, and we'll be happy to invite you so that we can hear more details. On the investment outside services, I think our priorities are mainly Vision 2030, as I indicated, the 8 sectors. The immediate priority is a Big 4 agenda, with the 4 areas. We are very strongly looking for manufacturing. Value addition is really our critical focus because of we need to find a way of dealing with the unemployment challenge. So that is a key area together with the agro processing. Even in agriculture now, we are saying it's not good enough to just focus on agriculture production. Can we start with the market side and build the value chain down so that we do with the value addition, then we come and produce commodities as required by the factories, and then everything becomes in a very organized value chains. So I think, John, I think once we get your contact on this, I'll keep engaging with you as more things get clearer. For George, is my friend, we with him on some agriculture projects, especially potato value chain and related. I'm happy that what he has said, that is a team working on looking to take more opportunities in the agriculture sector. I'm very excited because we know if you look at our ambition to eliminate poverty by the year 2030, you cannot do that without touching agriculture, because 3/4 of our people rely on agriculture for their livelihood. So we need people who can do, I call it maybe a Safaricom in every value chain of agriculture. So if it's avocado, can we have a big investor who can coordinate the value chain the way Safaricom has done in telecoms? So then you are giving SMEs and farmers the opportunity to plug in and get secure and strong returns. Then if we do this in several value chains, I think we can transform our country within a very, very short time. So I think this is the discussion. And the work we are doing now, identifying large pieces of land, is going to be actually the catalyst for that. Because if somebody gets a lease, and then the government said, yeah, we'll give you this lease, maybe these are what you pay, but from our side, we would expect you to have this obligation to help connect the value chain, of course, with the support of the government. Then that is likely to have a very major impact on our economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ikiara. There's a question here from Enid Otieno, who is asking which arm of government receives PPP proposals. However, I think that's quite straightforward if you'd ask me about the PPP. Yes. But I think this question is also touching on a much broader issue of coordination. Yeah. Where does an investor start? Do you start with PPP? Do you go to the individual, ministries? So if it's something related to maybe infrastructure development, do you go to the Ministry of Transport and so on? Or does an investor work through KenInvest around the opportunities that you've talked about? So that's a question that I think it would be interesting to get your views on. However, allow me to also invite two more people to quickly ask their question, given as I know we are running out of time. Willis, if you're still on the call, please, you can go ahead and mute and ask your question. Willis is the chair of our health task force that is also looking at how we can drive greater investment into that space. Willis, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Maxwell, for the opportunity to ask the question. Mine, Daktari, goes towards universal healthcare, and we know one of the things that would help support that is access and availability of medicines. And in the recent few months, we've seen other countries moving very fast to try and secure their position, especially when it comes to manufacturing of vaccines on the continent. Is this an area that the government feels we could do more? And if so, what sort of incentives do you have for the pharma industry? Thank you.
Thank you, Willis. I want to invite Robert Aswani. I know, Robert, you've asked a question here relating to how government agencies aligned to the agenda to welcome investments in Kenya. Daktari has sort of covered or touched on those. However, Robert also leads our immigration task force. And it would be great to just hear, from Robert, some of the challenges that we see. And maybe Robert could ask a specific question. I know we've done quite a bit of work in that space as well. Go ahead.
Thank you, Maxwell. Thank you, Dr. Moses. Very good presentation. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ari, for the presentation.
Yes.
I think from an immigration perspective, I'm happy to hear that there is a focus to look at which laws are trying to delimit what the government is doing, because the indication has always been that government goes out and makes a presentation the way you have made to investors, but when they come in, they find a number of limitations. So from the immigration space, we've been trying to look at some of the areas that need to be changed and some of the areas that are not very clear, because some decisions, our clients, our members here will get a message from immigration telling them that this job can be done by a Kenyan. Yet there have been so many efforts to have this investor come and invest in the country. And so when such things happen, what are some of the processes that can help this investor then settle or get a convincing message on why such a decision has been made? We've made several proposals, and I'm sure that AmCham will be able to share with you on a position paper that we are thinking that would help improve the way immigration would make decisions that then would encourage how investors work within the space in Kenya. So we are happy to work with KenInvest. Now that you cover part of immigration and you understand the pains that investors would have once they go through the process and they cannot even onboard some of their crucial staff within that space. It's something that we are looking forward to partner with you and it can work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Robert. Dr. Ari, briefly, if you could address those.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So from edit, the issue, the PPP proposals, they can go to the PPP unit in the National Treasury. The PPP unit has been quite improved. The CEO now, the Director General currently was working with Standard Chartered Bank. Standard Chartered Bank is a friend of mine, very vibrant. They are moving with speed. So I think the PPP proposals can be taken there. We are always in a conversation with them just to see how things can work. And if anybody, if they can't get him or any problem, you can always send me an email or something, and I can talk to Chris so that he can receive the proposals. Now, when does the investor start? Max, I suppose, I think after this, Google investing in Kenya, you assume you are an American somewhere and you want to invest in Kenya, you just say invest in Kenya. You tell me what you find. Most likely you find at the first on the top of your search, maybe it will lead you to KenInvest website. And it will give you various, a lot of information and the ideas. Then you can actually, even how to contact us, you send an email to say, I'm interested to invest in a transport, or in infrastructure, in health, in education, all sectors. We'll get that one. And they can already tell you from our e-opportunities, where we have now almost 360 opportunities in the platform. We can already tell you, oh, we already have several that are in the platform. Can you look at them and then engage us further? And then eventually we link you up to the project promoter, even if they are in a different, even if they're in a different ministry. So what am I saying by this is that we have organized ourselves as a coordinator of everything investment in the country, giving people, because we know many foreign people who are outside, they say to invest in Africa is like entering a jungle. You don't know where to start, you don't know, and that's why we created platforms like e-regulations and the e-opportunities to tell people it's not a jungle. You can actually get the information you need, including the process. Like if you want to invest in a certain area, what are the steps? What are you required to pay if you need the permits? How long will it take so that nobody has to ask you to pay for any facilitation, or to be able to feel like you have to pay a bribe or maybe pay unnecessary consultancy and just for simple tasks. And we've gone further, where now in the one-stop shop we also have a EPZA, Export Processing Zones Authority. We have the Special Economic Zones Authority. So all of us are working together. If Max, you come now as an investor and you tell us I have an idea to do this and this, most likely your first meeting will be with 3 people from KenInvest, EPZA, and CESA, so that once we understand the market you are targeting with your products, then we can tell you the best program for you as a EPZ is where you maximize benefits, or is a SEZ, or is outside. Then we are connected to CONSA, we are connected to the RAPSET authority. So generally we are trying to coordinate everything and tame this perception of a jungle in terms of how it's going. And that's why we are actually looking for, at the moment, we can get the National Investment Council with a one-stop shop and the coordination happening, then it will no longer be a problem to get things fast-tracked very, very, very quickly. So I come to health, to Willis. Yes, manufacture of vaccines is actually very important for us. Surprise, surprise, something is happening actually at the Ministry of Industrialization, together working with the health. Willis, once I get your contact, I'm going to check how far this has gone, because it's not like I think there are still discussions on how to go about it and the kind of incentive that are being given for the private sector to move on this. So I can give you more detailed information as soon as I speak to Julius from the Ministry of Industry, who is coordinating this. But for sure it is, and we are really promoting a lot of manufacture of pharma. You know, we got a recent big investor in the EPZ in the river, who is manufacturing, in the pharmaceutical sector. We've listened to the stakeholders in the pharmaceutical sector several times, and they have indicated to us where the challenges are. I think the government is looking at improving that. One of it was to reduce the duties or taxes on the materials that are being important to be able to do the pharmaceutical. I come then to Robert on immigration. I'm happy, Robert, you said you are going to make some proposals because of 2 things. We have one policy window, in the sense that the Minister for Interior, who is in charge of immigration, as a 100-day RRI, where he wants to really transform the immigration space, even including how to handle citizenship issues quickly. And this CS I've worked with, I know, very, very open to ideas. It comes very strongly in implementation, but is a very good listener to good ideas. So we've taken an initiative at our level, KenInvest, EPZA, CESA, and the upcoming Nairobi International Financial Center. The 4 institutions, we are working on one cabinet paper to submit to the minister before the 100 days are over. So, Robert, if you can send your proposals, we can incorporate them as my team is finishing, but you need to move with speed so that the policy window does not cross. But let me also say the guys at immigration, including the DG himself, we are working very closely. I think I also don't like this idea that you get the response that this job can be done by a Kenyan. I'm a Kenyan. I want jobs for my counterparts, but I also understand for an investor, the critical thing is to give them a leeway to decide who they trust most to put for their work. So we are thinking maybe we can go to a regime where we say, if you invest so much, then we give you a number of work permits. Whoever you brings, nobody should question you, so long as you are within your quota that you are allocated. You can bring whoever you trust, even if they are not going to school, because trust is more critical in business than anything else. So Robert, share with us your proposals. We are going to submit, and I'm going to follow up to see the CS so that we see the things that will be taken up.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much, Daktari, for your time, for your insights. I think this has been very, very useful and productive for all of us who have been on this call. There's a lot of information that we need to share with you. We'll make sure that we do that. There are questions that we did not address. Some of them are very specific, related to information and so on. We will forward that to you and your team. And use that then to edify our members on this side. As I said, there's a lot to be done. There's a lot of conversation that is still pending between us, and we will reach out formally to just make sure that we move that agenda forward. So allow me to really thank you most sincerely on behalf of our members, on behalf of everybody who's on the call, for an excellent job that you've done this morning in briefing us. Also thank your team, who have been very supportive to the AmCham as well, for the great work that they do. Members, thank you very much for making time this morning for your active participation. I wish we had more time, but unfortunately we need to move on to other things as well. But rest assured that we will push forward what we need to push forward. And Daktari has committed to share the presentation that he made. We will circulate that to you. So Santeni Sana, thank you very much. And Beth,
thank you, Max, and thank you everyone. We need your investment. That's my parting shot. Come and invest more. Asante.
Thank you.
Yeah.